I always had the opinion that Bellarmine did everything right.
Recruiting, and more recruiting.
Well, I don't really care what my time is. And they're like, okay, so like, what do you think you're going to go? I said, faster than you.
Listen, this is what you do. This is what day it is. This is everything else that happens during the Derby.
The next pitch I saw, I hit a no-doubter, and that just set the tone for the little tournament, and we freaking ran through that thing. I love telling that story.
I don't think I'll find anything like this ever again.
You're tuned in to another episode of the Knights of the Round Table podcast, KRT for short. I'm Jack Kaiser, and as always, remember you can find the links and clips to all our episodes across our social media platforms. Just search at BU Knights. We're already on the doorstep of fall sports season, about a month away until soccer, volleyball, field hockey, so many other sports start rolling, so seems like a good time to talk about one of those sports now, and we are joined today by the longest tenured coach in Bellarmine athletics, about to enter his 25th season, a Louisville native, and the winningest coach in men's soccer program history, Tim Chastonay. Coach, 25 years. How does that sound?
It's been a long time, but I when I first stepped into this, I was hoping it was going to be a career job for me. It wasn't like I thought I was going to be coaching in 4 to 5 different places. I went to Bellarmine. I graduated from here, and I thought it was the right move for me. And I thought, in the end, that it could end up being a career job for me.
Well, here you are, and you just got done with camp. That's right, about Monday through Thursday. How'd that go this week?
Well, it's been our 25th, 26th year of camp. So it's, we honestly have a really good camp program here. I think the kids really enjoy it. We get really big numbers at camp, and I feel like we do a good job of teaching kids the skills that they need to be able to go back to their club teams, high school teams, whatever it is, and they can take something that we give them, and it's valuable for them.
And you have a couple of kids, right?
I do. So I have 2 boys. One is a high school junior, and the other is a college junior.
Did they play soccer, or do they?
They do. So my oldest is down at Belmont. He plays down there. You may know the story. He scored 2 goals against our team his first college game.
Yep.
And then my youngest plays over at Trinity High School.
Did they come to camp?
No, not this year. But they came to camp all through their time. They've every year they were at camp.
So, like, what age group is the camp normally?
So right now, we'll do the camp that we had this week were just kids that were like kindergarten through 8th grade. Okay. So just youth camps. But then we also have high school identification camps where we have kids that are, 9 through 12, and those kids are maybe kids that are maybe looking to come to Bellarmine, and we're trying to identify them as maybe possible recruits for us later on.
So between camp, club, whatever it was, how long did you coach your kids for?
I coached my oldest, AJ, from probably the time he was 7 years old until the time he left for college. My younger one, I've done some off and on coaching with him. He kind of prefers not to be around Dad in regards to his soccer. The oldest kind of clung on to me in regards to soccer, but then he, when it was time to look to come here, then he said, "No, Dad, I don't want to be around you anymore. I'm gonna head off somewhere else." So.
That's kind of ironic. He's the one who was closer to you with the soccer growing up. Then he went to Belmont. What was that experience like for you coaching against him and him scoring 2 goals against you guys? Yeah,
it was, he had called me the day or 2 before and said, "Hey, Dad, I made the road trip." And, like any freshman like we would have on our team, it's hard to even make a road trip as a freshman. So he was pretty excited, and he didn't know if he would play. He gets in the second half. It was 0-0, and it was literally maybe 45 seconds later he scored. And, I was happy for him, but I was, obviously not happy for the team. But it was 1-0. I still thought we had a chance in the game. I thought we're okay. We'll get a chance to get this back. And then he scored 20 minutes after that, and then I was pretty angry. I was not pleased at all with the group. But when it was all said and done afterwards, it's really taken his college career off, and he's done really well the last couple of years. So I've been happy for him, a little bit disappointed for us.
Were you able to give a pretty extensive scouting report to your guys when whatever his number was, hey, he's in the game, he does this?
Well, we honestly weren't worried about him at all because going into it, he was an unproven freshman that we didn't even know he was going to play. So now this past year, since he was a sophomore and he was starting, he was definitely a kid that we had to look at and say, hey, he's their leading goal scorer. We're going to need to maybe, make sure we know where he's at different times on the field. And he's got some special qualities about him that he makes good runs. He gets himself in good positions. So we definitely had to watch out for him. He honestly, he led all Division I men's soccer this year in game-winning goals. Wow. So, we knew when he was in, the attacking third, you got to get him marked up. Now, in other areas of the field, he may not have been that productive for them, but when they get into the attacking third, he's a kid that you definitely have to make sure you know where he's at.
Does he ever stick it to you a little bit? It's like, hey, Dad, I beat you twice. You know that?
Oh, every time we get a chance. So, and I thought this year we outplayed them, and he even says, yeah, you guys probably were the better team, but we won. So.
That's a great story. So when did you find out that you loved soccer to the point where you wanted to make it your career?
I had really three coaches in my youth soccer background. I had my father, who was my first coach, and then I had a guy by the name of Carl Gentili. Story about him is he was a professional baseball player, soccer player, and football player. One of the only in the country who played three professional sports. And my high school coach, Greg Vitello. So I kind of learned from all three of those guys, and they were kind of my mentors. And I kind of fed off of those guys. I was kind of like, I want to be like these guys. And so I kind of knew high school wise. When I was in high school, I was like, man, I kind of want to maybe coach one day. And when I got done playing here at Bellarmine, I started to coach some youth soccer, and it kind of really just kind of fit the way I wanted to be. But I learned from all those guys. I learned what I thought was things that they did wrong, and also things that I wanted to kind of be like those guys.
Did you have any other passions growing up?
I still have a huge passion. I'm a massive baseball fan. Okay. So I'm originally from St. Louis, although I've now lived in Louisville longer than I ever lived in St. Louis. But I am an avid Cardinals fan. Okay. So disappointed last night. They lost 7-6 to the Dodgers. We were up 6-0. I watch every game they're on, and I'm home. I watch every game. So I have a passion for baseball. I don't go around thinking I know baseball, but I do like the Cardinals, but that was probably a true passion of mine growing up was baseball.
Are you able to make the trip over to St. Louis for some Cardinals games over the summer?
We do every time, and we'll get ready here in a couple weeks when the Cardinals are at the Reds. We always make it up to Cincinnati, so we go every year to a game up there, and when we can, we'll go back to St. Louis. But we've actually we followed the Cardinals. We've been to Baltimore. We've been to Pittsburgh. We've been to Chicago. Wherever we can find a weekend in the summer where I'm free and the kids are free, we'll go follow them.
Are you absolutely ecstatic that Albert Pujols is back with the Cardinals?
Well, I am. I mean, he to me, most older Cardinal fans that got to see Stan Musial play will tell you he's the greatest Cardinal. For me, Albert Pujols has been the greatest player that I've seen play for them. So yes, to have his last year and to be able to watch him play with the Cardinals again. I mean, I was devastated when he left. And now, good thing though, the Cardinals have remained to be a really competitive team even without him. But now it'd be great to see them win with him the last year.
Yeah, they're always good. Every year they find a way to be good. And as a fan of the White Sox, they always find a way to be bad somehow. So that drives me crazy. But congratulations on that fandom.
Thank you.
So as far as coaching, I mean, what part of it makes you tick? Is it the training, the player development, the goal of winning a championship? What drives you?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that, what drove me as a, youngster, as a soccer player was setting goals and trying to accomplish those goals. And I think every year you get that kind of your itch. You're like, all right, guys, it's time to set our goals. How do we want to be this year? Do we want to, do we think we can win a conference championship? Do we just want to win double-digit games? Is it just a developmental year that we've got to, just see if we can develop into a halfway decent team? I think it's just kind of those things that just every year it's a little bit different, and there's that drive to be good and develop your team. We're a couple weeks away from starting, and we're just so anxious to see what what type of team we've got. We've got obviously guys coming back from last year, but we want to add the new guys in, and it's just kind of that unknown and that fact that you can put your mark on something that young guys are growing into.
Are those conversations something you have over the course of the year, or if you already had that with your team going into the year?
No, I mean, I think you kind of talk about it in the spring. Hey guys, what do we want to be like in the fall? But we don't know, because the new guys coming in, how are they going to impact the team?
Right.
But we talk about them, and then we have to kind of adjust some things. If the team is got some goals to win the conference, but yet halfway through now it looks like you're just going to struggle to make the conference tournament. Now we've got to regroup and say, okay, guys, what do we have to do in the last 4 games just to slide into the conference tournament? And then maybe set some goals of, okay, let's try to win the tournament. Okay. You never want to try to set things way too high that you can't accomplish, but you never want to tell the guys, hey, we can't do this. So it's constantly something that we're reanalyzing and reorganizing through the year.
So as far as your personal journey here, like I said, you've been here for 25 years. You played at Bellarmine. You were a great high school coach. And then you got the job after 4 years as a high school coach. And you told me how you got it last year and just how surprised you were. If you could share that again, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I was coaching at Eastern High School, and it was we were doing real well there. We won a state championship back in '96 or '97, I believe, and I really enjoyed it. But then this job came open, and Dr. Rhodes called me and asked if I would be interested in it, but kind of the catch was I was going to coach both the men and women, and had no experience coaching women, so I didn't know if that was going to be, something that I was going to be able to do for a long time. But I ended up doing both, coaching both programs for about 12 years, and enjoyed both. But it got to the point where one program was going to be enough. But just really, I didn't. It wasn't like I said, I really want to coach college. College is, the ultimate job for me. I mean, I was doing well in high school, doing well in college. Are doing well in club. My club team had won a national championship. Okay,
right.
My 1981 boys, and I was enjoying what I was doing. But then this thing just kind of came open, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna throw myself at it. And we weren't good early on. I wasn't a great college coach early on, and I needed to learn a lot to get our program where it needed to get to.
What's the biggest thing you think you've learned from then to now?
Probably just through the 25 years is just managing players is really the big key. 25 years ago, some of the things you'd say at practice, some of the, getting on kids sometimes was, you didn't really have those individual personalities, where these days you got to kind of learn what makes a player tick. Some kids you can get on and get, a little bit harder with, and other kids you got to nurture along a little bit, and you got to make sure you remain positive with them. And I think it's, you get a group of 30 something guys together, and it's kind of like you got to manage every single player differently than it was 25 years ago. It was like, guys, this is the way we're going to do things, and if you don't like it, then this program isn't for you. These days, it's not really like that.
Yeah. Did you always envision yourself staying in Louisville, or were you open to looking elsewhere?
No, I really think this was, because I'd gone to school here, this was like an ultimate job for me.
Okay.
And I really liked Louisville just because it was kind of a scaled down version of St. Louis.
Yeah.
And there were things here, we didn't have the professional sports scene that St. Louis had, but we had the college sports scene.
Yep.
And pretty easy city to navigate. And I really liked the fact that I could get home in 4 hours and visit family. So this was just an ultimate place for me. And then my ties with Bellarmine and the people that were here and the people I knew, and Scott, the athletic director, came on board after me, but I'd known him from being a student at Bellarmine early on. I knew his brother real well, so that so just the close ties I had. But no, my wife has a good job and she loves Louisville. The kids love Louisville. I've never even actually ever applied for another job or even looked for another job since I've been here.
Yeah, you put yourself in position to get great jobs here, but if you're happy here, why look elsewhere?
Absolutely.
And that seemed to be the case. So as far as right now, from December until now, what does training look like for you guys?
We're really not allowed to do a whole lot except during our spring season. Okay, so we have a spring season. It's a scaled down version of what we do in the fall. It's only 5 games. We train a few times a week, and it's mainly just developing those guys for the fall season. But then the big kicker is that they leave in May, and now we don't have any time with those guys. And so we try to contact our guys here or there by text message or email. How you doing? How's your fitness level? Are you playing any? What are you doing? And just trying to get those answers back from guys about how they're doing, because we'll start August 9th, and then we have a preseason game like August 13th. And we just don't know how ready the guys are going to be. That's the biggest issue that we'll have is are guys fit enough to play? Are they ready? But we don't see them all summer. So and a lot of our guys live out of town, so they're just not around us.
Yeah, it seems to be, different from other sports where, say, basketball is allowed to practice starting in June or whatever. It seems very different. It is, and that's a huge advantage. We would love that. I mean, it would be great to have the guys here taking classes and training every day, but it's something that we just have to do. And honestly, but everybody else is in the same is in the same boat. So that's part of the recruiting process, is trying to find guys that are serious about the game, that we know will be all summer be working out and training and doing what we need them to do. We try to give them a workout program that they can follow and that will make them ready for August 9th. Most will do it, but some get involved in internships and jobs, and there's different things in their lives. So we'll fitness test them on the 9th and find out how they've been doing all summer. But if there was rules that would be changed, we would love to see those rules changed. But that's just something that we've all got to get by. You mentioned fitness level. Everyone has to be in good shape who plays soccer. Is there one drill or conditioning test that seems to be more brutal than the others that the guys just hate?
Well, that was, it's funny you brought that up. I just had lunch with Tomas, our graduate assistant, and he said, Coach, every time somebody walks in the surf and I see them, because he works over at the surf, and he says every time he sees somebody, they ask him, what's the fitness test going to be this year? Because we haven't really told the guys what we're going to do this year. We've done a couple different ones. We do one that they call the beep test. Okay, it's a series of 20-yard runs back and forth where it kind of monitors their recovery, like how quickly they can recover and get on to the next run. Okay. Yeah. There's the old one, the Cooper's test, the 2 mile where you're trying to make it in 12 minutes. And then one I like is like 120-yard shuttle, so you get a minute. Okay, so it's maybe so many seconds, 120 yards, and then so many seconds back to do you need to do about 10 of those in a minute, or each one in a minute. Okay, and so I haven't really figured out which one we're going to do this summer. We kind of keep the guys on edge a little bit. Part of the idea is we want those guys to have a little bit of fear of, and I better get myself in shape because I have no idea what coach is going to do this year.
That's exactly right. I remember in high school I played baseball, and at tryouts they had a conditioning test on the first day of tryouts every year, and one of the times we had no idea what it was. We had to do 100-yard sprints down a football field and back until he told us to stop. And he never told us when he was going to have us stop. And one time we ran like 8 or 10 100-yard sprints in a row. And it's just, that fear lives in the back of the mind of an athlete for sure.
Well, I think it kind of plays with them psychologically too. I mean, you can wear yourself out psychologically trying to, oh my gosh, what are we going to do this? And so, we'll give them a heads up probably a couple weeks before we start. We'll tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do first day. And, I'm one of those guys that, I want the guys to be fit. At the same time, I don't like to waste a lot of practice time on fitness. I mean, it really takes away our time to prepare with the ball and tactically for games coming up.
No, makes total sense. So you've probably completely moved on to focusing on this upcoming season, but from your reflection on last year, what are your thoughts on the 2021 season?
I thought it was a good season for us. Okay, record-wise, when you look at it, I think we were 7-8-3. I think people would say, well, you didn't have a winning record, but we were extremely competitive in every game that we played, and we felt like we played a fairly hard schedule through the year. We went and challenged ourselves against University of Louisville, Kentucky, teams like that were top 20 caliber teams. But I think the one thing that when we reflect on last year, we became a very good defensive-minded team. Everybody bought into defending, okay? But we weren't great at scoring from the run of play and counterattacking. So all spring we really worked on being able to keep the ball a little bit more from back to front. When we did win the ball defensively, were we in good areas to counterattack? We just need to score more goals from run a play, from counterattacks. We became this team last year that really relied on set pieces and just good hard-nosed play. And we got to get a little bit better in those areas. So those are areas that I think when we jump into 2022, if we can improve in some of those areas, get more goals from the run of play, a little bit better on the counterattack, but we still got to have everybody buy into that whole. Everybody's going to defend, okay? Whether that's in a mid-block, low block, or whatever, we need all 11 players to buy into that.
You lost some goal scorers from last year. Who do you think could step up and help you out there?
First and foremost, Nolan McGrath is a kid that probably could have started last year, but didn't start as many games as maybe he probably could have. He was always kind of that impact player off the bench, but I think he gets into a role now. He didn't have as much starting time as some of the other guys, but then scored as many goals. He would score. So it's his time to really step into that role as a true 9 or forward, and hopefully up his progression in regards to get more goals. There's a kid, Chris Shust, okay, and Chris is a kid that we brought on and we didn't know if he would ever develop into a player, but man, he's physically gifted. He can hold the ball up. He scores a lot of goals at practice, and he's now going to jump into a little bit more time. And then, probably the one coming back though that can score more goals for us is Hazik Zed. Okay, and Hazik was an all-conference player 2 years ago, first year Division I, but he's played unhealthy for 2 years, and finally, he had surgery in the offseason. And he looks very sharp. He's been working camp for us, so you kind of watch him now walking and running, and he looks healthy. And he should be able to up his total in regards to goals. And with him healthy, if he is, that will definitely help us.
Maybe not necessarily like a guy for Hazik, but other players stepping into a bigger role for the first time. Every program faces this, where you lose guys, you need other guys that aren't as experienced to step up. How do you prepare them for that?
It's awfully hard these days for young guys to kind of just jump in, but we've got to give them time and give them experience out on the field. We got to get them in training environment, to where they're seeing game realistic situations, especially in the attacking third of the field, and that's where a kid like Chris Shust has really first year not getting as many reps at practice. Now he's getting a lot of the reps with the first and second team, and he's gaining valuable time at training, and now we can stick him in games. He was getting 20 to 25 minutes a game last year, and now he's going to get half the game or more. And we hope that those environments we're putting him in at practice will transfer over into games.
Gotcha. Well, last question here. What do you see as the next steps you can take as a team and a program to compete for a championship?
Yeah, first 2 years, we've made it to the conference semifinals. Okay, first year we were, I think, the number 1 seed. Second year, we kind of snuck into the tournament. Okay, we were tied for 5th, kind of snuck in there. I think we were the 6th seed, but we've made it to the semifinal, and we've been fairly close in those semifinal games. So I think the next step for us is trying to just get over that hump and try to get ourselves into that championship game. You know what I'm saying? If we can get ourselves again into the semifinal, have we learned a little bit from the previous 2 years on what we need to do to get by that game? And if we're lucky enough to do that, then we got to learn how to win a championship. And I do think that's been one of the better things about our team, is that when we came away from Division II, we had gone, I think that previous 2 years, we had gone 30 games without losing a game. Now, we did draw some of those games, but we had that we had that winning mentality, that winning culture, and I think we need to continue to bring that on into we've brought that on into the previous seasons, but I think the guys need to remember back on what it took to win at that level, and hopefully the guys that are left over from those teams will continue to progress us into those type of championship moments and what it took to win those games.
Well, you guys have already been very successful, and hopefully we continue to see you take the next steps.
I appreciate it.
Starting this year. Coach, appreciate the time today.
No problem. It's fun.
Tim Chastonay, men's soccer head coach. That does it for KRT episode 19. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on social media at BU Knights to hear from Coach Chastonay and all of our other guests. I'm Jack Kaiser, and Swords Up.